on to our fourth session with the Department of Textiles and Apparel Designing. Our guest is Ms. Chaitali Sinha, Certified Safe Registered Product Owner, who will be interviewed by Dr. Armaiti Shukla, Head of Department Textiles and Apparel Designing at Vithaldas Thackersey College of Home Science Autonomous, also an alumnus of the Institute. I request you to come live and proceed with the interaction.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to from the Department of Textiles and Apparel Designing. The people who do not know about the department, it offers a range of experiences to its students, such as fashion illustration, fashion pattern making, draping, grading, design process and product development in textiles, fashion, soft furnishing, and accessories, appreciation of arts and crafts, both national as well as international, and learning the brass tacks of eco-friendly textiles, visual merchandising, global supply chain management, retail management, and a number of avenues in research and trends in textiles and apparel design. Let me therefore introduce you to an alumni of the Department of Textiles and Apparel Designing, Ms. Chaitali Sinha. She is a certified safe product owner and product manager. She has always been an ardent team player, which is a key to her success. Her professional experience is vast and varied. She'll share it with us throughout the session, I'm sure. And briefly, therefore, to introduce her today, she is a senior business analyst for Arteria AI, an emerging legal and fintech startup. Prior to which, some of the companies which I will be mentioning and she's been working in are Walmart, Toronto, Canada. Then in another company in UAE, that is G2000 Group, where she worked as an assistant buyer and merchandiser. And she started her career as a visual merchandiser in Spiker, India. With this, Chaitali, I would like to wish a very early good morning because I believe it's almost close to 3 to 4. She's right now in Canada. Thank you for joining us. And it's great to meet you on this platform. I would like to introduce you, I would want you to introduce yourself before beginning the session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And before I start introducing myself, let me just take the opportunity to thank you and Suman ma'am to consider me for this talk. I'm highly, highly honored and privileged at this point. And I guess any words that I say are going to fall short of thank you. I mean, I don't have a better word than thank you. So thank you again. Hello, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, and evening from wherever you are. I'm Chaitali. I have spent the most amazing 5 years in SVT, starting from FYJC until graduation. And I graduated in 2010 from the Textiles and Apparel Designing department. So far, I have worked in a different, all different spectrums of retail and fashion industry, and now moving into fintech with my transferable skills, I guess, that I've acquired through the years. When I'm not working, I'm a mom and a wife. My daughter is around 6 years old, and if, in her words, I would be an annoying mother, but I think I'm doing pretty okay on that note.
Thank you, Chaitali. But Chaitali, tell me, what made you choose the field of textiles and apparel designing? Because you need to be passionate to enter this field.
That is true. So it's sort of a little story that I have. I remember when I was in the 9th grade, it was my math paper. I still remember that. And I had some time to kill. I had finished my paper early. And I started sketching behind the question paper. I was very aesthetic about the croquis that I had made. And to me, that was the best design. I was a fashion designer in my head right there. I came home and I showed it to my father, my late father. He was my biggest critic. So he saw it. He said, yeah, it's nice. Although my rest of my family was like, you're the best in that. But he was my biggest critique, and he kept me honest and to the ground. He just took me one day to for me to face reality to the school called BD Sumani, which is there in town. It's very, very well known for its fashion students doing very well in the industry, and they have these annual fashion show and exhibitions. So he took me there, and he didn't say anything. He didn't compare my work to theirs, but he just made me go through all the designs, and there was my reality check. But that also gave me an insight that I declared at that time that I want to be into this industry. And it was him, I have to thank him on that note as well, that he emphasized the need to study textiles versus fashion designing and getting in-depth knowledge about the whole field, as in particular to one section of the field, to be successful.
Wow.
And sorry, to add to that as well, to help me push through this commitment to the course, he made sure after my 12th, in my vacations, I interned at Archana Kochar in her store, and I did everything from getting to know clients and getting to know their needs, getting their garment ready. It was a very, very valuable experience very early on, which I know I have mentioned through my courses as well. When we had those interactions in the lectures, I used to give back my experience with her. So I have a lot to thank to my father for that, and that's how I got into textiles.
So you selected a field you were passionate about, but then how did you go ahead? Tell us more about your journey till date.
Yes, like you rightly pointed out, that I started as an aspiring fashion designer, but I guess fate had some other plans. Right after graduation, I did visual merchandising, and I was a visual merchandising intern at Spiker Jeans. Truly a great experience, a great organization. Um, that taught us, basically, with that internship I learned that when you're selling a product, what else goes, what other thoughts and strategies are there, things like consumer buying behavior, product placement, how important it is to sell a high value product in a specific part of the store, and what that does to the consumer when they walk in. Obviously, visual merchandising, I know a lot of people think it's just to make your store pretty from looking pretty from outside and the inside, but it's not. It's a lot of strategy that goes into bringing in the footfall and then generating that into sales. Um, that kind of got my interest churning for learning more about business of fashion. So the next stop, I went into an export house to learn about import export business. Although I was the junior designer and merchandiser, I got to interact with a lot of global clients there, wherein also you learn about picking up trends as to what works and what doesn't. For example, when we had countries like Canada, we wouldn't sell them something which is cotton or rubber print. We would, and that also comes from my, my studies at textile at SVT. So that kind of building on to what I've already learned, and real time experience, that helped me over there. From there on, I moved into manufacturing company that created garments for West Side and Landmark. My biggest achievement there was uh, Deepika Padukone wore my design in Cocktail. I mean, obviously, this came from the factory, but that was my design. So that was my biggest achievement over there. Um, and that over there was an immense amount of knowledge about how to do your costing, how to do your risk analysis, how to keep it competitive, how to keep good sourcing, quality sourcing rather, for your garments, and how to mass produce a prototype or a design, basically. um, After that, I got married. I moved to Dubai. I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity in G2000. I was an assistant buyer and merchandiser there. Um, that was one of my tryst with retail management, and I went on to um, learning about the importance of having a good business sense about how much inventory to keep to generate so much sale or more, how to make sure that your brand is profitable, a brand management on a whole new level. I used to handle, I guess, 13 stores. 11 of them were in Dubai, one was in Bahrain, and another one is Doha. How to open a store and how to shut a store, basically, like, we shut down a couple of operations. That's also a huge amount of work. um, so all that experience actually then led me to create a brand of my own. I named it after my grandmother. um, and I decided to pick it up when I was pregnant with my daughter, to take a break from the corporate world and have something of my own to work for myself. um, and again, entrepreneurship um, was the best phase of my career. Although it is stressful, I wouldn't say that it is a piece of cake. It is a huge stressful situation, but it's good stress, because ultimately that you're working for yourself, and you're proud. It just gives that immense amount of pride for yourself. um, and I'm looking back to go, because I've got back into the corporate world, and I'm looking for opportunities to go back to being an entrepreneur again. When my daughter was about a year old or so, we moved to Canada. I took a good break. I enjoyed my maternity time and saw my daughter grow up. And she's been wonderful, touch wood. Uh, so here, I ran into a sort of a roadblock, because unfortunately in Canada, a lot of manufacturing for garments or retail decisions are not made much in Canada. It Major brands, the sort of work that I was used to is done majorly outside of Canada, predominantly in the US. So I was at a shorthand over here with lesser opportunities, and specifically for a new immigrant, it was a little difficult. So I did some odd jobs. I did try, starting in from sales at a small store level, um, to gain market expertise and all that. But that quite didn't work out. So, with a little push from a friend, very close friend of mine, I studied about business analysis, and at that time it felt very relevant. It felt very relatable. So I did a course. I was very fortunate to be still in the retail industry, but on the technology side now. I had the opportunity of working with a lot of good brands over here, and the biggest one that I worked with the last 3 years was Walmart Canada. Um, very good opportunity to work with. I did a lot of proof of concepts with retail technology. Um, some of them, which includes artificial intelligence, augmented reality, machine learning, NLP, um, and it kind of built on my skill sets to where I'm right now. I'm with a emerging startup, legal fintech called Arteria AI, that uses AI and NLP to do contract lifecycle management. And that's where I've started in the new year, and I'm looking forward to the new journey.
All the best on your further journey. Chaitali, I know that SVT created a strong platform for you to start your career. But over time, I'm sure, as you mentioned, you built on or acquired new skills and you evolved yourself. So, any skill sets that you recommend for the teachers and students of SVT?
Yes, I mean, I did a lot of evolving, or I wouldn't say evolving, rather, I added on to what I had learned in SVT. And, to resonate on what the other speakers have also said, that yes, we are bombarded with a lot of courses, and you don't understand that at that time when you're studying it. I remember cribbing about it too, but uh, it does help you in the later stage, and that's because you're exposed to so many options. You're not afraid, and I would say that helped me specifically. I was not afraid to do that change, to add on to something new. At the time when I was learning about business analysis, I was not sure whether I'm going to be in the retail industry or not. I was looking at an IT perspective. I was fortunate that I got relatable experiences in the field, but I was not scared, because we are used to catering to so many different avenues in our student life that it was very easy to adapt and then succeed in that. Um, Saying that, I would say that, I was also not afraid to fail and assess my situation at that time, um, and see what is the most sensible risk that I can take. So I would say that have that skill to be very aware of what your situation is, be it personal, professional, emotional, quotient, anything. Um, Make sure that you know where you are at every stage, and choose the option that works best for you at that time. And it can be being at home with your kid, or it can be pushing everything out and going heads on and working 15 hours a day. That's fine. But assess yourself as to what you're capable of without burning yourself out. um, Saying that, I would also like to emphasize on the other what reiterate rather what the other speakers have said about communication and soft skills. um, I did find during my batch, at least, that a lot of my peers were very uncomfortable when it came to conversation, although they were super talented. But it, just having the ability to talk about yourself, or talk about, you don't have to talk about world affairs or political issues or anything, but just about a open communication channel. When you're able to converse, it just helps you grow in every way possible. um, and I guess have a goal, um, just short term or long term. Focus on it and commit it to yourself that you are going to get there and achieve that goal. uh, I personally have to do one certification or one new learning certification every year. So for the past 3 years, Touchwood, I've been able to do it successfully, and and I feel that's realistic for me to do one. As everybody in the audience also knows that we as women adorn so many hats. So whatever is achievable and relatable and realistic for you, you can set that up for yourself and go ahead and get that for you.
Chaitali, with such a diverse experience that you have, can you think what are the sunrise sectors of the field of textiles and apparel designing? Can you share some of them from where you look at it outside India and India?
Sure. So some of the fields that I've been through in the retail industry, buying and merchandising and manufacturing are the most common ones, I feel. Um, but I do feel that teaching should be one of the other fields that should come up. Um, I know I am keen on it. So I know that giving back to your alma mater makes the future of future students, basically, their future a little bit more secured. They can get more, as Aditi rightly pointed out, more real-time world jobs, and be more equipped to deal with situations outside of college and their homes. Um, the the real world really starts outside the college gate, I guess. And you to get ready for that, and um, just make sure you go back and give that expertise and knowledge back to those who are ready to step out, because you've already stepped out. So I would say that, and I see that fashion journalism and bloggers have come up a lot on social media handles. I love styling videos. I try to incorporate that, but yeah, it's fashion journalism and reading about, even just not fashion journalism, anything about retail trends. um, I remember my experience with G2000 helped me analyze within Walmart Canada that their apparel section is not doing very well, only because the loss that they were making, the rest of the departments were covering it up. It's a very simple profit and loss kind of a statement to do. um, so that these things kind of help you understand what's going on in the market. With 2020, over here, at least in Canada, retail boomed like crazy because everybody was online ordering. Everybody was in the virtual world. So e-commerce is another booming sector. There is a lot of opportunities out here, at least here, that I can speak to. And within e-commerce, there are a lot of departments. There's just not ordering. Basically, there is transport management, there's procurement, there's order management, there's analysis to be done, there's technology. Um, Saying that, then there are visual merchandising, which I feel that it's a very ignored field, but it's very strategic. If you get into visual merchandising, you touch upon sales, you touch upon business strategies, you touch about VM, at least you touch about planning, execution. All that skill sets come with it. It's not about just making it look pretty. It's a good mix of design and brain work that goes into it. And two of the fields that are very close to my heart is, one is supply chain and logistics. If I feel I heard from you that we are offering that, and it's great news to me. And retail technology, which I've been in, which is again very close to my heart now. That look for opportunities that are there in the innovative sector. And saying that, when you get into retail technology, you need to have a little prerequisite of retail management or retail operations that are there to better understand and do better in that field. So there are a lot of things that there are more, I guess. These are the ones that I could think of, and there's a lot of branching out that you can do.
So, Chaitali, I take you up on the teaching offer. You mentioned you love that. But apart from that, I'm happy that the department has also incorporated some of the sunrise sectors which you've mentioned, such as VM. We have it as a subject, global supply chain management. I will approach you with the syllabus, give us some more points in which we can incorporate and make the syllabus better. But as an alumni who has ventured out, and looking at your CV, when I read it, I realized that you've been there and you've done it all. So, what message do you have for the audience?
I guess I won't say I've done it all, because I'm still,
Most of it.
opportunistic.
Most of it.
Yeah, more. Yeah, I've kind of touched a bit on every aspect of retail and fashion that I could, except for e-commerce. Still, I am still aspiring to get into that role. Um, but I guess the transferable skills are there. I'd like to iterate on that as well. Like, in the product world, there's something called as product development life cycle. I'm not sure if there is. Yes. So product being a garment or product being a software, it goes through the same iterations and the same cycle. You'll initiate an idea, you will design it, you will develop it, you will try and test, which we call UAT in our IT term. It's user acceptance test. You'll make adjustments when there are issues, and then you'll hand it over. So being it a garment as a product or a software as a product, it kind of has the same cycle. So understanding that you can apply these skill sets that you learn at the college level or your graduation level can apply to other sectors is very important. Since 2020 was 2020, and what it did bring to the table, to the reality, is the importance of becoming virtual. If you needed any kind of contact, any kind of network, anything, any kind of publicity, it had to be, you had to have a virtual presence, else a lot of businesses have shut down, specifically the small businesses that are there. So I would like to see more incorporation of technology in the courses, and equipping our girls with, um, you know, tools and techniques to get there. For example, I know we used to have the AutoCAD design uh, when I was there.
Yeah.
And so if you like sketching a lot, you like designing, that's great, but try doing it on Photoshop and CorelDRAW or Lightroom, so that it's shareable online. Um, if you like, if you're an entrepreneur, um, try looking at e-commerce options. If you are, you know, just interested in manufacturing, then look at opportunities or innovations that is happening. There's a huge market out there. I'll give you an example. There is so in retail, it is very important to know what is on your shelf because that translates into sale, how much you have on your shelf. So a person or a human takes about 4 hours to do one aisle. Um, I worked on a project with a robot, doing that within half an hour and relating it back, relegating that whole data back to the back end to then procure more from the back room and putting it on the shelf. That's more real time. That's how far, human efforts can be compressed, and there is a lot of innovation out there. So if you're interested in any specific sector of retail and fashion, there has, and I remember I also have to mention this. When we were studying, we went to the Hayat laundry room, and it was huge. It's huge. We were mind blown at that time as to how much innovation goes in pressing a garment. And it was a part. Yeah, it was. I think I wrote a 3-page report at back in that back at that time. It was fascinating. It's just fascinating. And again, like to reiterate that there are a lot of opportunities out there, so grab it when you can.
Thank you, Chaitali. I'll quickly go to the chat session. If there are any questions, the students could type it. No, there aren't many questions right now. Chaitali, I will give them time. Let me very quickly share the screen and show what are the avenues which are today open to students for future careers. Yes. So these are some of the careers which we have very broadly divided. First is what today India looks so up to, that is entrepreneurship, having a startup in a product manufacturing, either marketing or
Armaiti,
yes.
Are you sharing something?
I am. I believe it's not visible. Is it that it's not visible?
No.
Just. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Is it visible now?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. So we have divided what fields you can go in, and after talking to Chaitali, I realized that I've not mentioned robotics here now, but entrepreneurship is one big area which can be focused on. Another is styling, fashion coordination, fashion consultancy. Then quality control in different fields such as textiles, garments, processing, even retailing now, fashion retail technology, exports, visual merchandising, fashion journalism, content writing. Being a good blogger can earn you a lot of money. And designing in the field of textiles, fashion, made-ups, accessories, lifestyle products. All these can be incorporated if you understand the field of textiles. Wherever you jump in, there's an opportunity waiting for everyone. With this, Chaitali, I would like to thank you. There's only one phrase which I can see, and that is coming home. It is a very meaningful phrase. Today, it's beautiful to see one such alumni come back home to its alma mater and give back a piece of herself through sharing of her experiences. And Chaitali, I would only be able to express my emotions with a very warm thank you from SVT and the Textiles family. And simultaneously, this is an opportunity I do not want to miss. A very warm welcome to all the other alumni who are waiting here. We are awaiting your return with a very virtual, warm hug and a big smile, because we want you to come here, share your experiences, share your knowledge, and make the current students a better lot when they go out into this big wide world. So just a minute before ending, I believe there is a question in the chat box. I'll just very quickly share one of these. how much is the scope of fashion designing in India with its comparison to abroad? Chaitali, would you be able to answer this?
Sure. I feel, if you ask me, fashion designing in India has a much more broader meaning and more importance than it is abroad. And if I may compare just the fashion shows that happen, we have so many varieties, and specifically for traditional textiles, it is immensely one. It's beautiful. It has global demand. Trust me on that. Um, I there is immense scope in India as compared to abroad. If you talk about Western fashion, then yes, obviously abroad is much more a better scope of getting a job within a design firm. Saying that, uh, it is easier if you're anyway planning to come abroad to be a fashion designer. It is always easier to come in to study and then get acquired or picked up by a company that way, because then it's such a field that you need to know, understand the market needs, trends, to be um, to be relevant to the industry or relevant to the market. Um, Personally, I feel I would definitely go back to India to do fashion designing and manufacturing for the clients anytime, rather than doing it over here, for sure.
Chaitali, another very interesting question, and I believe it comes from the heart of the new student. As freshers, we have to face a lot of rejection. How can we make ourselves more valuable as freshers or new graduates?
I would definitely say that, and I'm sure other speakers would be, agreeing with me on this. Um, Take it as a challenge. Don't get dejected. Um, what industry we are in, it's all about an aesthetic sense that is different across the board. My aesthetic sense would not be the same as yours. To me, what is beautiful might be loud to you. So don't take it as a, a stopping or a roadblock for you. Take it as a challenge, or understand that this is one part of the market that you want to cater to differently or not cater at all. That's up to you. That's completely up to you. Um, and rejection in any sense is something that is just a perspective or something that is not working out. What is not working out right now might work out later or with somebody else. So take failures as stepping stones, you know dust it and move on. I would say this is something that I tell my 6-year-old all the time. Dust it and move on. It's fine. If it is
That's
not
very
working in
encouraging.
this room, it will work in another room for sure.
That's very encouraging. There is another person who's asked for your contact number.
For sure.
She can reach you otherwise on LinkedIn if you are there.
Yes, I'm available on LinkedIn, social media handles. You can take my contact number from Armaiti ma'am as well, if you want to reach out. And I would love to help out in any kind of mentoring if anybody needs it. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of contacts back at home. But definitely can groom related to career prospects. Definitely in the retail management industry. If you're interested, please do get in touch.
You can also get in touch with us and we'll definitely forward whatever messages you have. You can just approach SVT.
For sure.
So thank you, Chaitali. Once again, I will hand it over to the next session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Welcome, darling. Welcome.
Thank you, Chaitali ma'am, for drawing light towards the technological aspect of textiles and apparel designing. And thank you, Almighty ma'am, for the valuable questions.